All right, good morning to everyone. Today is April 30th. As always, make sure to have a paper and pencil for notes, and then make sure to attend office hours if you get a chance to. That way I can answer any questions that maybe are still about things that are still unclear even after watching this video. If possible, in the comments, please make sure to put the a number for your stress check from a 0 to a 10. 0 meaning you're in a good space and you can focus. A 10 meaning you can't manage your emotions or behaviors right now. And then some, or if you're somewhere in between. Today for Tuesday, April 30th, we're going to review writing an equation in slope-intercept form. And then we're going to write an equation that passes through the given point and has the given slope. So when reviewing our do now, we're going to go ahead and place the variables in the right order for slope-intercept form. So hopefully from our last lesson, we remember what that formula is. And that formula is y is equal to mx plus b. So when solving for question number 1, you just put these in order. You go y, and then notice the equal sign is there. So then m, x is already there, plus is already there, b. And that's all you have to do for this problem. For question number 2, it says select the equation that represents the graph. So right away, what I like to do is I like to look at my y-intercept and find that first. So in this case, our y-intercept, and let me go ahead and mark it. In this case, our y-intercept is 3. So we know that when we have y is equal to mx plus b, whatever is in this position is your y-intercept. So in this case, it should be positive 3. Notice all of them are positive 3. So I can't cancel any of them out yet. The next thing I'm going to do is find my slope. So slope is going to be m. So it's going to be in the position of m. So I'm going to look at that point, and then there's this point as well. And then I'm going to see how many units do I go up and how many do I go to the side. So I go up or down, up 2 units, to the side 3 units. Oh. So when I look at this, I find the one, and also it's a positive slope, so I don't need a negative symbol. So when I look at these options, I know that this cannot be an option. This might be an option, but notice it has a negative sign, so that doesn't work out. And then this seems to be it, but let me just double check, and that is it, because this one is not it. This has negative 3/2, so that is my answer. When responding on the do now on Schoology, make sure that you select the right one because those answers do get shuffled. So let's look at our problem for today, and then let me move this. Our problem for today is that 10 people from a local youth group went to Black Hills. Let me make sure that that's correct on here. Went to Black Hills Whitewater Rafting Tour Company for a one-day rafting trip, and the group paid $425. So if you're not sure what whitewater rafting is, that's this activity right here in this picture. So notice, it looks pretty fun. And then this is the brochure for it. So the Black Hills Whitewater Rafting, so you have to pay the guide's fee, but they don't tell you what the guide's fee is. But you also have to pay $35 per person for a one-day trip. So that's the problem we're going to solve today using slope-intercept form. So now we're going to go ahead and write an equation in slope-intercept form when given a point and given the slope. So as a reminder, always, slope-intercept form is y is equal to mx plus b. So our step number 1 is going to be to identify slope as m. So in this case, if we look, our slope is 3. So they tell us what our slope is. That should be a comma. Sorry. They tell us what our slope is. We're just going to write it as m equals 3. Our next step is to find the y-intercept. So when finding the y-intercept, what we do is we're going to write y equals mx plus b. And we know what b is equal to. Sorry, no, we don't. We know what m is equal to. We know that it's equal to 3. I'm going to plug that in. Okay. And then they give us an x and they give us a y. So I'm going to plug that in as well. So where y goes, I'm going to plug in -3. Where x goes, I'm going to plug in 3. But remember, I do have to put it in parentheses. And that'll give me my, my y-intercept. So -3 is equal to, what's 3 times 3? That's 9. I want to get b by itself, so I subtract 9. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. That cancels out. That leaves me with -12 is equal to b. So now I have my m, I have my b. I can go ahead and write my equation. Y is equal to mx plus b. And remember, for it to be filled out, we need a number here and we need a number here. So y is equal to, we have an m. So we're going to write 3. And then we have a b, which is -12. So instead of plus b, I'm going to write -12. And that is my equation. Let's look at this as well. First step, identify slope. So right away, I'm going to write m is equal to, and they tell me my slope is 2. My y-intercept, so I go y is equal mx plus b. So as a reminder, this one, I'm going to plug in my y. I have an x and I have a y. I'm going to plug in the y. I'm going to plug in my m. And I'm going to multiply it by my x, which is 2. Okay. And that's going to leave me with 2 times 2 is 4 plus b. I want to get b by itself, so I subtract 4 from each side. That cancels out. And that leaves me with 4 minus 4 is 0. So when writing my equation, I write y equals mx plus b. I write y. I know my m is, my slope is 2. And then I know my b is 0. So in this case, I wouldn't even need that. So I would write y is equal to 2x, because if it's just plus 0, it means plus nothing. So I don't have to include it. When looking at this equation, or sorry, this point and this slope, just for additional practice, and this is a good spot for you to pause this video and give this problem a try by yourself using these 3 steps. So go ahead, and if you're watching this at home, go ahead and pause this and then give this problem a try. I'm going to go ahead and solve it. Identify slope m. I know that my slope, so m, is equal to -1. Again, I take the equation, I plug this in for x, this in for y. So my y is 5 right now. My m is -1, my x is 1, and I put plus b. That's 5 is equal to -1 times 1 is -1 plus b. I try to get b by itself, so if it's -1, I add 1 to each side. That cancels out. That leaves me with b is equal to 6. So then I take the slope-intercept form and I plug in my values. So I know that m is equal to -1. I know that my b is equal to +6. Another way to write that is y is equal to -x plus 6. Again, this just gives you another problem for you to go ahead and practice with. So again, go ahead and pause the video if you're watching at home. Go ahead and practice this problem. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and solve for it. So this time I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to go ahead and solve it. this looks like a 6, it's a B, just to clarify. If you have any questions about how I solved that, you can come to office hours and I can go ahead and explain that in more detail. So here are 2 problems you can practice at home. Just make sure to go through the 3 steps. So identify slope M, find the y-intercept, write the equation in slope-intercept form. So go ahead and do that. And I'm going to go ahead and solve it. So again, you can pause it. I'm just going to go ahead and solve the 2 problems. So if you are practicing at home, you have the answer for each. All right, and those are your solutions for these 2 questions. So now I'm going back to this problem. So 10 people from a local youth group went to Black Hills Whitewater Rafting Tour Company for a 1-day rafting trip. The group paid $425. What we do know is that a number, so if we have y is equal to mx plus b, we know that the total amount that they paid is 425, so that's going to be our y. That's how much they paid total. We know that, and it's not really asking a question, so this is where we can try to figure out, well, how much did they pay for, sorry, that is how much. So we can maybe ask, well, the information they don't give us is how much was that, the guide's fee. So notice it doesn't tell us how much the guide's fee was. So that's something that we can find out. So we know that the amount of people that went on this whitewater rafting trip were 10 people, and they each paid $35. And the B can be that information. It's that guide's fee that doesn't change in value. That's just what they charge. So then we would go ahead and solve this for B. And that would give us how much that guide's fee is. So the guide's fee, automatically they would charge $75. Another question we can ask is, well, how about if 15 people go, how much would that cost? So there's different questions that can come from this word problem. So what are your next steps after class today? Make sure to complete the do now. Make sure to complete the exit ticket for today's date. And then there's a very important part. So on your list of materials, there's an assignment called CFA 3A. Please make sure to complete that by tomorrow at the latest. And then before class on May 5th, so before class on Monday, make sure to complete the homework. I'm sorry, before class on Tuesday. Make sure to complete the homework assignment titled Homework 428 and 430. And make sure to complete the do now for that date as well. If you have any questions, make sure to show up to office hours on Wednesdays and Fridays from 2 to 3 p.m.